Ndị be anyị ekenekwanụ m unu. Asị m ka nkonye chiri ya zelụkwa. Asị na ụbọchị nke taa dịrị na anyị na mma. Anyị sị na ya dịka echi na echi ada agwụ agwụ. Etu anyị kwuru otu akọ ya dịrị ise. Biko tọọ ntị na ka anyị wetara ya bụ ozi anyị ji maka webe n'iru akwụkwọ n'ụbọchị nke taa na Easter News 24. This news bụ according to the Biafran activist weta ya bụ ozi as he quote. Breaking news. Maazị Nnamdi Kanu's case on fire. Massive protests loading. Igbo leaders, Niger Delta join Showore on the protest. Hear the news in details.
Active for Moyola Showore to join the call for the release of Nnamdi Kanu. What's the need for him? Is it national camaraderie?
Yeah, I think I need to even bring you up, up to speed on that. I think the last, bit of news that I read on that was that Showore had visited Goodluck Jonathan.
That's correct. I said
Jonathan had also
that he will speak with
Tinubu. Assured that he will speak with Tinubu. So I do not, for the life of me, want to think, like some of my brothers who are saying, be worried when, why would he suddenly take interest? A very good friend of mine even, stated that on Facebook today, and I laughed. I mean, we should try to avoid the tendency to be difficult to please. Ndibo should be. If my enemy suddenly begins to see merit in my point of view, my first reaction is to welcome him and begin to study him. Not to tell him, no, this course is not your course. I think that's a wrong strategy. Because what other Nigerians outside of the Southeast owe us is that feeling of, oneness that comes from being our fellow compatriots. That, that they realize that what affects us, even if it does not affect them directly, might in the end also affect them. And we are talking about Omoyole Showore, that has a long history of activism and non-conformity in his blood. And I admire him for being true to himself over the years. He has been in detention several times. He has been a man. Nobody is perfect. But at least in Omoyole Showore, you can see a consistent pattern. Trying to stand for the masses, trying to point at wrongs in the society, and trying to hold some of our political leaders' feet to fire. And I think a man who has that kind of profile should not be dismissed with, a wave of the hand, and people who suddenly become so, self-ingratiating that they don't even want an outsider to take interest in a matter that has depressed us for how long. I think the more the merrier. For me, I'm particularly, fascinated by the fact that it seemed to me, no matter what is igniting the recent passion from behind the scene, no matter what it is, I think, as the Bible says, all things work together for good. For those that, I don't want to, turn this into a scriptural session, but when my enemies finally begin to make a turnaround and I agree with my point of view, I welcome them. And to make it even more ominous, in a positive way, you find out that it's not just Showore that is making this dramatic turn. Atiku Abubakar that had been silent for so long, I started speaking up. Goodluck Jonathan, is involved. Femi Falana is also, so many people are speaking up. The ebb and tide in human affairs is bound to catch up on our situation sometimes. There are moments when even opposing factions come together to agree that, look, this is how did the French philosopher said, an idea whose time has come. You know, Victor Hugo. So this is an idea whose time has come. The time to actually free Nnamdi Kanu has come. That's why we are seeing people outside of the Southeast zone lending voices to the advocacy for his release. I think it's a very positive thing. And I would even wish that more people could join the crusade. And why would this not be the appropriate time?
Yes, now that you talked about timing, timing is perfect, but whose voices are missing from these calls?
No, I think that we should not look at it from the point of view of which voices.
Don't you think the more will be the merrier?
Yes, absolutely.
You know, if there was a ruckus in your household, maybe when you were growing up, there must be someone. Whenever he speaks up, everything will be still, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So in Southeast Nigeria, there will be a set of people when they speak with one voice. At least the president should at least give them a listening ear. Who are those people?
If you evidently are looking at the Southeast governors, those individuals are way too politically exposed to actually look at the interests of anybody else but theirs at the moment. They are fighting their the battles for their political lives. You know what is happening in the terrain. People are moving from one party to the other. There are rumors of defections. There are actual defections. There are threats of some highly performing governors, you know, being thrown out because they are not part of the ruling party, and all of you think those things don't percolate to something very strong at the end of the day? If you were Alex Oti and you have someone breathing down your neck, screaming inanities, even if you know that you are one with your people, we have seen so many situations in Nigeria where you know, the actual winners of the popular votes didn't end up victorious at the polls, you know. But for the historic courage of Nena Oti, we would not have had Alex Oti. Just the other day, I was looking at that video where she was recounting what happened, and she said, "If I perish, I perish." That was courage speaking. And the only thing that it reminded me of was Dora Akunyele saying, "If I die, I die." And what struck me was how remarkably it was that only Nigerian women have displayed that level of courage. I spent some time actually thinking about it and, you know, saying, wouldn't our country, our affairs, be in safer hands if women were to actually occupy more, you know, more important roles in terms of impact on people's work? Because some of these women they have shown themselves to be people that cannot be swayed by anything, not even by detonating bombs behind their backs, because Nenoti would have caved in with all the pressure for money, threat for life and everything, and she stood her ground. And today Abia State has been liberated from you know, a season of lack of ambition and in extreme ineptitude. Dora Akunyele did the same thing, but for Dora's courage, you know, Nigeria would have wallowed without a clear leadership structure for years, because the original plan of those shadowy figures in Aso Rock was to keep the nation in the dark for as long as they could when Yaradua died. So the point I'm making is that we should actually look at some of these things. You know, it might not necessarily be if we are expecting that people who occupy, or in fact, let me just be bold and say our governors will speak up. They are fighting for their lives. But the question is, what would they even have said? And what have the Southeast governors said in a period of 4 years that Nnamdi Kanu has been incarcerated? How many times have they spoken from the people who were in power at the time he was incarcerated to the people who took over? What substantive statements have they made? So the point is that I think that this is a very historic moment in the campaign to free Nnamdi Kanu, in the sense that figures outside of the Southeast are beginning to speak. It shows that this anomaly is beginning to worry the rest of the country. The anxiety is no more peculiar to the Southeast. More of our fellow Nigerians are beginning to feel our pain and say, why you have set free other people who were caught in similar situations with this young man. Why is his case different? Even after the Kenyan court, you know what the Kenyan court said about Nnamdi Kanu's extraordinary rendition? It said it was illegitimate and awarded 10 million shillings in Kenyan shillings damages to Nnamdi Kanu for the Kenyan president allowing that travesty to happen in Kenyan soil.
Ndị be anyị gwadalụ dị nnenu dịka unu sibu na-esore n'ụbọchị egwuruchi nkịta n'elu akwụkwọ na Eastern News 24. Unu anụgo n'ife nwanne anyị wetara anyị. Ọ ya amasị anyị na ọ bụ na nke ụbọchị izu gị na-esore ka gbarụ kịtụsa ya bụ ozi. Ọzọ dịka ibe ya bụ achọkwa ka idere na akara kọmentị ife iche n'ụdị nke gị gbasara maka iwe ya bụ ife niile ịnụ n'iru akwụkwọ n'ụbọchị egwuruchi nkịta. Mgbakọ ebe si ya na ụmụnne m.